All right, and just like that, we are back. Hey, welcome everybody. I am DJ Kelly Reverb. I am an RSPS. Thank you for the flatulence there, Chadwick. But I am an RSPS, which is a recovery support peer specialist, which is recognized by the state of Texas and Medicaid billable.
That's right.
Anyway.
Tell you what, it ain't recognized by me.
But anyway, you have tuned into This Pink Cloud. This Pink Cloud is a show that we do on recovery and mental health. And we are, non-judgmental, a judgment-free zone, I'd like to say.
Mm-hmm.
Sitting in with me, we've got a studio full of energy today.
Yes.
Some good, some bad. But
Energy nonetheless.
yeah, it's energy, all right. Sitting next to me is the one, the only, Chad Lamons. How are you, bud?
I'm good.
Holler.
That was late.
That was a little late.
Hold
yeah.
on, let me do it.
Chad, wait, hold on. Let me set it up. Ladies and gentlemen, Chad Lamons. Okay. He's like a plate spinner over there.
Oh,
But anyway, and always, I love it when this young lady can come in and help us class up the show. I like to think of her as a hope influencer.
Yes.
And I think she's grasped on to the fact that she is a hope
have.
influencer.
Yes.
Yeah,
it took
you're
me
okay
a little
with that?
while, but I'm
You're-
accepting it.
You're okay with that
I'm
brand?
okay with it. It's
Okay.
making a lot of sense to me now. I see.
Right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, the blue clad today, Soraya Nicole.
Hello.
what she said to you earlier, she was like, you said something about what color your shirt was. She's like, are you colorblind? And you go, do I look colorblind?
Right? Well, no, I didn't know if my clothes weren't matching.
You called blue black, and so I was like, wait, are you
What? No,
colorblind?
that's black. This is like navy blue.
Yeah, that's a blue. Yeah.
Okay.
Joe's
I didn't see
just
that
sitting
one.
over
Joe
like,
has
what is
no
what did I just
idea
get
what
myself
I got.
into,
Yeah,
dude?
right?
I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm here.
I'm here. I'm in the moment.
I'm
I'm in
ready.
the moment. But thank you for coming out.
Yes.
And that is a vibrant blue top, and I
is,
love it.
right?
I love it.
Royal
It looks
blue.
good. Yeah,
It's a good color for me.
it is good.
I don't know about royal. Probably like
Easy.
hierarchy
Well, I'm
though.
royal.
Hierarchy.
I'm
There you
royal.
go.
Yeah, you are,
and then I'm
but-
wearing blue. So.
Are you colorblind?
Look closer.
Anyway, but the guest today is one Joe Lindsay, and he is actually you started up Stepping Stone Sober Living.
That's right.
And you're also actually, the biggest part is that you're a sponsor of the podcast, which we love and appreciate.
Glad to be.
Yeah. But you have an interesting story.
It's
and
a really long.
Yeah, I know. I
it's,
was
it's like 49 seconds. I didn't know
I
that.
felt all of that.
I was like, I'm going to run out of things to say, man. But anyway, thanks for coming out.
Glad
And
to
I
be
know
here.
you're a busy guy, but you've got a pretty interesting backstory. So thanks for coming out, everybody. Joe Lindsay.
Glad to be here.
All right.
No more
And-
can I have a hallelujah chorus?
Yeah, there you go.
It's a gong.
Oh, you got a gong?
Spiritual warrior.
There you go. Spiritual warrior Joe Lindsay.
Oh God.
So why don't you start off with how it happened, because I know the church is a big part of your story
Yeah.
in general, but take us back to maybe a young Joe and how you grew up and stuff like that.
Yeah, sure. Where do I start? I love doing this, talking about myself.
Right.
I tend to be good at it.
Right.
I grew up in the church like a lot of people.
Uh-huh.
And maybe more so, I had a pastor who was kind of like a surrogate granddad
Mm-hmm.
to me. Took me to church every Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And early on, I discovered I was good at music.
Mm-hmm.
And
Now, were you growing up in the city or the sticks, or where
so I grew
were
up in
you?
Longview,
Okay,
Texas,
Longview,
yeah, 2
all
hours
right.
east of here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Stick adjacent.
stick adjacent. Yeah,
Right.
Still pretty desolate place, but
Right.
anyways. Yeah, so my drinking and drugging started pretty early. If I can, being in recovery now for almost 2 years, as these kind of things come back
Mm-hmm.
to you, Looking back, I can remember reaching in Grandma's refrigerator for that wine cooler and not really knowing it was a wine cooler and just loving the taste of it.
Yeah. Well, wine coolers did taste good.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, they were like
Yeah.
kind of green like Chad's shirt.
Right.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Are you colorblind?
Wine cooler,
The
aqua.
Bartles and James.
Yeah.
What do I look like, a wine cooler to you, Joe?
Yeah. And it just went on from there, man. I graduated high school, drank and partied all the way through it. Took Adderall prescribed as for symptoms of ADHD.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
a lot of my people I know.
Well, I love the Adderall because Adderall is the drinker's companion other than cocaine.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, I do Adderall so I can drink more.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of the same thing with
All my
cocaine,
best
yeah.
ideas came while up on some Adderall.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Everything was clean, organized, done.
Hell yeah.
I took apart the VCR and I put it back together.
Yeah. Oiled every screw as I put it back
Right.
together, yeah.
That's the difference in amphetamines. Like you take Adderall and you put it back together. You can engineer the thing, but you take meth, you just take the shit apart and sell it for copper.
Right, there you go.
Tried college, got kicked out of college twice. Ended up going to Northwestern State to study music in Natchitoches, Louisiana. And I've got a picture on my Facebook. It's like the first picture on my Facebook account of, I think it's like September 7th, 2007.
Mm-hmm.
It's a place called the Pioneer Pub on Front Street in Natchitoches. It's a real kind of like a quaint historic town.
Mm-hmm.
Sitting at the Pioneer Pub, 18 years old, with a highball full of bourbon in front of me.
Nice.
And it was like that every weekend.
Right.
That's just what I did. That's what everybody did.
Mm-hmm.
And I fit in really well with that. And it just if you just kind of pile things on top, lots of drinking, lots of smoking pot, make a geographic relocation because I don't like what's going on in music school. I'm not satisfied. I got to find bigger and better things. This is just not for me.
Yeah.
So I transferred to the University of Oklahoma. And I'm there.
That's a good move.
Yeah. And then I learned how to snort Adderall, and then I learned about DMT, and I learned about sniffing a little heroin, and then turns out got a DUI on New Year's Eve after a concert we gave at the School of Music.
Okay.
Pulling out of the garage with 4 or 5 of my music buddies, we'd smoked a joint up in the parking garage.
Mm-hmm.
Literally had to drive a block.
Right.
Around because I had a little apartment behind the music school. Pulled out of the parking garage and got stopped with a joint in the car, an open bottle of champagne, and 4 grams of mushrooms.
Oh, nice.
So I downed all 4 grams of mushrooms.
No.
What, like, but that was your
Fucking super
like,
troopers,
yeah,
dude.
like-
Right.
That's what I did. And,
Right.
threw the joint out the window, and they didn't find the champagne, but by the time I got booked into the jail, like I can remember sitting there, like there's a filing cabinet next to me, and the filing cabinet's moving.
Right.
I'm doing some shit like this.
Right.
I don't remember much of it. I just know I got out just in time with a white T-shirt on and some shoes, just in time to go drive to Oklahoma City to play mass the next morning.
Oh, nice.
So I was on time, still
frying.
And
dude.
I loved mushrooms because everything was so vibrant. Like, and anyways, very peaceful.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Just thinking of you, like, so you got a DUI that time?
I got a DUI, yeah.
Okay, so for driving a block, which you could have probably just walked home,
Absolutely.
right? And then and then maybe gotten up the next day and taken your car to
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I just want to
Maybe.
dude. I just want to take a second. Let's just picture
Let's pick it
Joe's
apart.
super calm demeanor, just like frying in mass, just like
Yeah.
just out
No,
of jail.
yeah.
There-
He's like, man, this sound is so vibrant. This color is so vibrant.
I'm seeing color. It's
right.
It's like, Joe, this
Yeah.
is literally the same thing we did last week. You're like, but it's so different
Yeah,
today.
he wasn't colorblind.
Yeah, right. There you go.
colorblind.
No.
It just went on from there, man. Moved back home with the parents. Was home for a few years. Got a job doing something pretty unique up in Philadelphia. I spent time building pipe organs
Okay.
Wow.
That's super cool.
in
Yeah.
churches and concert halls and doing restoration work, and really a niche kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
And
It's super expensive.
absolutely. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, and a lot of fun. It's like the best culmination of all the trades, electrical engineering,
a little
architectural
woodwork,
engineering, fine finishing, metallurgy, music, all this stuff joined together. So when I'm in Philadelphia, I find myself, really discovering what heroin is, and then that's the first time I got on the needle.
Well, so what? Okay, so how does that happen? So you're just, I mean, it sounds crazy, dude. You're in Philadelphia. You found this niche job repairing and manufacturing pipe organs for probably church use or church adjacent.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, I'm going to try heroin. I mean, how does that go down?
Yeah, well, there's a whole story behind it. I had bought a piece of property from the city of Philadelphia, and was going to remodel it. And I've always been a pretty ambitious guy.
Okay.
And nothing in drinking and using ever worked. Turns out in sobriety, something ambitions can be a good thing.
Yeah.
The guys I was hiring, I kept finding little bags and needles everywhere.
Okay.
And I'm like, what the fuck's going on? And somebody said, oh, this is, heroin, whatever. Everybody does it. And it turns out I didn't even look around the neighborhood, but I was in like a heavily Haitian, Puerto Rican neighborhood.
Ah, okay.
And I bought this house in. And I was terrified, but somebody coaxed me through it. And then it was off to the races.
Okay.
And kept that up for 2 or 3 months until I found myself being slapped in the face by my roommate. He couldn't get me to wake up for 20
Well,
minutes.
did you ever have any kind of inkling? Like, I always say that I got the memo on heroin that I was going to, chances are, like it and the only, successfully navigate it for a short window.
That's interesting. Yeah, absolutely. So I had, when I came back, that was in 2015, after the 20-minute not wake up episode, I put myself in treatment down in Shreveport.
Okay.
An outpatient at Brentwood Hospital for the kids who like to read good. And I was there for a week, and then I got out, and then I went over to my buddy's house, and his dad had been a lifelong meth user, still is, and had been used the needle, and he looked at me and he said, if you keep using the needle, you're going to either be dead in 9 months, or if you make it past 9 months, you're going to be on it the rest of your life.
Right.
And I ended up being on the needle with meth for almost 8 months.
Right.
And then I was able to make another relocation. But to answer your question, looking back, I was in control of everything.
Yeah.
I've got this.
Yeah.
I don't.
I mean, everybody else doesn't have it.
No.
But I could successfully navigate.
I can do this.
Yeah.
I can do this. Well, it wasn't until I fell down a 25-foot ladder because I was having withdrawal. Show up to work drenched in sweat, and I climb up a ladder. Pipe organs are put in really small rooms like this.
Yeah.
In different parts of churches, you got to crawl up little ladders and be really skinny to navigate and move around. And I just fell off one, and that was when I knew that something
that was when I knew I needed to change to meth.
It was at that moment.
Well,
Yeah.
I was gonna say I know somebody who was from West Philadelphia, born and raised, and the playground is where he spent most of his days. They moved him to Bel Air actually because they were worried about the heroin epidemic. But
okay.
yeah,
Cool.
That's how he escaped that.
Thank you.
I've been waiting to do that this whole time, bro. That's how my brain works. I'm sorry.
All right.
Yeah, so I moved from there and put myself in treatment. Spent a couple more years in East Texas working as a musician, and just kept adding to my
resume.
Adding to my resume.
Yeah, your drug resume.
Yeah,
well, it seems like you also thought that you could outrun whatever it was at the time because you did a lot of relocating. I'm gonna move from here to get away from heroin, but then I'm gonna start doing meth down here.
Yeah.
And then I'm just gonna go here and make it a combo platter.
All about changing the way I felt, man.
Yeah.
All about changing the way I felt. Things that happened to me, things that that were done to me that happened early in life.
Okay.
And all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's just our problems pile up on us.
Right.
We don't know how to solve them.
Well, and that's what they say. A lot of addicts and users or substance use disorder is due to trauma and PTSD and stuff like that.
And that's definitely part of my journey.
Right.
I come from a very typical family. Mom was a stay-at-home mom. Dad's a long-haul truck driver. I never wanted for anything. I have two very supportive parents. They always supported me with what I was doing musically. They still are supportive of me today. You know, we've gone through this amazing journey of my bullshit and some tough love that, like, the best thing my parents could have ever done for me was to say, fuck off.
Yeah.
And now we're closer than we've ever been.
Right.
And some things that have happened in recovery are just amazing.
Right.
It turns out when you work 8 and 9 and do it and finish it,
Yeah.
that at least for me, that's how it was.
Right.
So, you know, fast forward to 2017, I'm 130 pounds. I'm doing meth. I have always drank. Always drank. And in fact, I come from a family of heavy drinkers. That's what we did. I'd lost everything. My world was really small. I'd lost relationships. I couldn't be employed, unemployed, unemployable, useless, feelings of uselessness. I can remember being in my bathrobe in my parents' small bedroom up in their house where all of my belongings could fit into this broom-sized closet, and I'm just sitting in there in the dark, just terrified.
Right.
But not even really knowing that I'm terrified because I'd never been here before. I'd never experienced this loneliness, this desolation, this incomprehensible
Demoralization.
demoralization. That's what that looked like on me. And I can remember on January 16th, my mother's a very caring person. She's always taking care of others. She was across the street at this lady's house, cleaning her house, an elderly lady. And I go across the street, and I can't remember if I texted her, and I asked her to get me some Ensure. Because I just needed to eat something. By this point, like when I bit into the apple, my teeth were shifting in my head.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you got a pretty good head of teeth for
they're getting some
for the
veneers.
meth.
My wife says I need some veneers here. So, gifts of sobriety.
Right.
Yeah.
She says, sorry, I can't help you. It wasn't that she just didn't know what to do with me.
Right.
Uh-huh.
And I got pissed, and I thought, you fucking bitch, you know, whatever was going through my mind. So I scraped the last of the dope out of the baggies I had and stole her credit card and her car, rented a car online, and had a buddy drive her car to the rental car place so I could drive that car to Shreveport so I could use her credit card to buy a plane ticket to Wisconsin.
Okay.
And she's got a sister up there. And so I flew to Appleton, Wisconsin. And just to people, places, and things. Gotta do something. That was my most desperate moment. And spent the next year kind of rebuilding my life. Still drinking. I never had a drinking problem.
Right. Of course not.
I just knew I needed
The drugs were an issue, not the
Yeah.
alcohol.
drugs were an issue, not
Right.
the alcohol. Yeah, so I got back into music, became employed again, got an apartment, did all the things in what seemed to be the right order. I was managing stuff. And then found myself in grad school. I've always had this vocational calling to ministry. And I found it strange that, as a young person, I would, think about where I wanted to go to school or go to college. And I saw this place called Nashotah House.
Okay.
And Nashotah House is a seminary of the Episcopal Church up in Wisconsin. I thought, how weird is it that I'm here in Wisconsin, so close to this place?
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe I should apply.
Yeah.
So I did. And I don't have an undergraduate degree, and they let me in.
Okay.
That's not
Typical.
it's not typical. Right. But it's also not against the rules. And I start pursuing this vocation into ministry. And I'd failed out of college twice before or left. I wasn't kicked out the first 2 times, but wasn't a very good student. So I'm at Nashotah House for 2 years, and I'm a pretty good student, making pretty good grades and active in the community. But we had drinking was a part of communal life. Nashotah House is this weird and beautiful place in the middle of the Wisconsin woods. It looks like a Benedictine monastery.
Wow.
Right.
Okay.
It was built in 1850. It's a very historic place. Everybody lives, eats, works, plays, and prays together.
Right.
Men and women.
But it's like one of those places that's so isolated that all you have to do is really drink.
Yeah, we had our own
Yeah.
we had our own bar on campus.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and Tuesday and Friday nights were the pub nights. And
Right.
Who was the pub cellarer? The cellarer was the job that we had a person to open and close it and serve drinks. This guy.
That you.
So that was cool. And it was an amazing and place and time. And anyways, by 2020, I haven't done meth in 3 years, but I've been drinking, and I'm like 200 pounds, 240 pounds.
Right.
And along this time, I've met my wife in seminary at the same time. We engaged and got married.
Okay.
I go back to East Texas, and I see a friend of mine who's been clean for some time.
Right.
And it's obvious he's not. So, of course, what do you got? Let's do a little.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's do a little for old time's sake.
Yeah.
So and then that turned into, man, I need a couple grams because I need to ship them back to me in Wisconsin in this stereo receiver.
Right.
That I need for my room.
Yeah.
And
And are we talking grams of what? Because at this point,
meth,
okay.
grams of meth.
Right.
And so I did. And then I sat on it for a couple weeks, and there was one day, I can remember it plain as day, I was sitting on my computer listening to some music, and I thought, oh, that's in there. Oh, my wife's gone. Oh, it's a long weekend. Nobody will know.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I drew up, for me, like, I don't know, it was a massive amount.
Yeah, because you had been off for 3 years.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's like a really dangerous spot to be in.
Yeah.
Is that your tolerance isn't what it was.
No program, nothing. And now here's the other thing. Like back in 2013 or 14, I had to have known there was some issue because I started going to AA meetings, but I'd go fucked up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I would lecture on how addiction is a lack of community and connection and all this shit I'd say when I was high. And then even in my ministerial training.
But thank you for confirming that, because I have gone to meetings before and gone, man, this guy's fucked up.
yeah. Now I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just part of the deal. It's what,
Yeah.
All right.
And even in my ministerial training, I told the higher ups in the church, I said, I want to be in a recovery-oriented parish. So I knew something was going on. This was going to be part of my journey.
Mm-hmm.
And they sent me to New York. My wife and I were going to become priests in New York. We're going through the ordination process there, and they sent me to this little parish in Mechanicsville. And I spent a couple weeks there during the term, and with this priest, shadowing him and seeing about ministry life.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even know that he's 12-stepping me. He's just asking me questions like, are you ready to do this thing? And I don't even know what he means. Like, here's a book.
Yeah.
And that's all he said.
Yeah.
Are you quit? And you want to quit for good?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but I was doing it for all the wrong reasons. Yeah, so I can, which is really like a no disguised as a yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I hear that all the time.
Right.
I was a master of no's disguised as yeses.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, when October 2021 comes around and I reach in that stereo receiver, they found me about 6 hours later in the cemetery on the seminary grounds.
Okay.
In this like meth-induced psychosis and hallucination with a bottle of Jack Daniels in my hand because I couldn't come down.
Yeah.
Right.
And that was like lowest of low moment number 2.
Yeah.
And you think you get kicked out, but the seminary is a place that practices grace.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'd had a couple of slaps on the hand before. I'd broken my foot once or twice from dancing too much in the pub because I was too drunk.
Right.
Yeah.
Shit like that. We had, it was middle of the term, or we had a paper due. I can't recall the circumstances, but I got kicked out because I plagiarized a paper.
Right. Not because you were in because you were in a meth-induced psychosis
No. Right.
in the
No,
cemetery.
and to be honest with you, my classmates, they didn't make a big fuss of it. They brought me in, they helped me, they surrounded me and loved me and poured their love on me, which was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then notified who needed to be notified.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't like any staff or faculty found me, but
Right.
it was devastating. And so I plagiarized this paper. They discover it, and then I'm summarily dismissed with prejudice, and I have 30 days to move out. By this time, I'm married.
Yeah.
My wife has finished her degree. She's a pediatric chaplain doing an internship by this time.
Okay.
So we moved to Madison, spend a year in Madison, and then I go off to California, and I'm still drinking this whole year.
Mm-hmm.
I got kicked out in October of 20, and by October of 21 was my sobriety date. So I'm still drinking the whole time, and we're going to go to California or Boston, another geographic relocation.
Okay.
I'm going to go build pipe organs in one of these two places.
Mm-hmm.
And I was about to sign the papers to take this job offer in California. My mother-in-law calls me and says, I really think you guys should move to McKinney.
Mm-hmm.
And Texas was the last place I ever wanted to go. Lots of hurt, lots of
long view, and
you know,
you have
the pain
history,
you get in your stomach whenever you see a person or place or an event that, which I don't have those anymore, which is an amazing thing. Anyways, we come to McKinney, and it's pretty apparent that if I don't do something, I'm not going to be married for very long.
Yeah.
Right.
And it just so happens that my wife is also in the program.
Okay.
And she I don't know if I should.
Well, I mean, you don't have to flame her out, but
I
mean, what did she have a DOC or I mean?
No, so she had quite a bit of sobriety before seminary, and we met in seminary, and she has her journey and I have mine. But anyways, we come back and she's like, "I'm going to the Miracle Group, McKinney. You can go with me or not."
Okay, and the Miracle Group is
an AA group behind First Baptist in McKinney.
Okay,
pretty big, vibrant group.
All right,
great newcomer meetings every night at 7:30 and noon. And I go in there and I remember walking up the plank because at the end I was drinking a fifth of gin a day and popping a handful of Klonopin.
Sure.
That was my deal.
Right.
I remember walking up the gangway there into the meeting, sitting down, not really caring or knowing much about what was going on, but I was there for her. She needed the help.
Right.
The guy who was my sponsor was chairing the meeting. It was like a book study, and he said one line that I'll never forget, and it was, "Why am I this?" He said, "The question I'm was always trying to answer was, why am I the smartest guy I know whose life doesn't work?"
Yeah.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah, and it was like at that moment, I was just remember feeling like completely drained of everything, and I just knew that I had to do something then. So
it was like, Chad, you always say like those two words that you can change your whole perspective and change your life. And that sounds kind of like that instant. But real quick, I just wanted to throw to our lovely sponsor real quick while we're at a break. Be sure and hit up Max the Axe, Lone Star Injury Attorneys. If you go to thispinklawyer.com, it will route you to Lone Star Injury Attorneys. They are personal injury attorneys practicing in Texas and California and don't have the gatekeeping society that a lot of lawyers do. And then also our new sponsor, and happens to be our guest today, lovely. I love this. Like, I feel like I'm talking really loud now that I've listened to him talk. It's like, I'm like, but Stepping Stones Sober Living, and Chad is going to do his best to read this without totally butchering. Let's go, Chad. What you got?
All right.
What you got?
I was gonna do the South Park announcer voice.
Yeah,
but I summoned something else.
Let's hear it all the way.
Are you or someone you know struggling with addiction and looking for a safe and supportive environment to begin the road to recovery? Stepping Stones Sober Living is the place to go. They are in McKinney. They know firsthand the journey to sobriety can seem impossible, but you never have to do it alone.
That's right.
Our community provides the support and encouragement you need to stay on track and achieve your recovery goals.
Nice.
But yeah, they have clean, comfortable accommodations, and you will feel right at home. And they're right next to downtown McKinney and several vibrant recovery groups.
There we go. And the number is 920-454-0569. Once again, that is 920-454-0569. Also, they have a Facebook page right now. And then I guess you're working on a website as well?
Yeah, we've got a simple one up. It's
Okay.
www.steppingstonesnt.com.
Okay,
That's
cool.
where you can find our application.
And I think for the last sentence,
Oh, go ahead.
recovery is a journey, not a destination. If you're serious about your recovery, then we want to help.
Perfect, Chad.
It was.
Yeah.
Way to go,
Perfect.
buddy.
Couldn't be
Way to
better.
go, dude. Nailed it. But
Oh my
yeah,
God,
what
I
was
love
so?
me Donna.
Yeah, right. That was your love Madonna
I
voice.
love me Donna so much.
Yeah, what's her
She's-
name?
She's the #1 best artist in the entire United world.
That's great.
It's funny, like when Chad has enough caffeine,
Yes.
then all the different Chads come
All
out,
of
like all the
them.
different characters
Well, have
come
you
out.
seen how dark this is?
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah, when you
Yeah,
walked
it's
away to go get more water,
he went like udders of a cow.
Yes.
it sounded like somebody taking a piss.
It
Right?
did.
Yeah.
All
But
right.
Anyway, so but back to your story, and I mean, I guess it's coming up to the part where I mean, how did you start this? Okay, so you're in McKinney, and what's happening there? Like,
You
Yeah,
just
so,
had the breakthrough.
yeah,
Yeah. I was in the middle of remodeling my house when this happened.
are you funding this with pipe organ money like the whole time, or how is this all these different moves and all that happening? Like, I mean, how are you?
I can't say, but for the grace of God, somehow I
Yeah.
made the journey.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I get that.
I couldn't tell you.
'Cause it
being
seems
a,
like you
being
had
a
a pretty-
musician, I've
yeah.
always been able to generate income,
Uh-huh.
and I've never not been able to find employment, I guess, in that capacity. But so at the end, when I left the seminary, of course, what do? We blame everybody and everything for our problems. So it was fuck the church, fuck music,
Right.
fuck Nashotah House.
Right.
Never again will I darken the door of another church, especially the Episcopal Church.
Right.
And this is, on to bigger and better
How
newer things.
how
Right.
dare they make me plagiarize
yeah,
a paper?
Yeah, how dare they kick me out?
Right.
With prejudice, by
Yeah,
the way.
right.
Right.
With prejudice. In italics. With prejudice. So, yeah, we get to McKinney. We start remodeling this house, and my wife and I were married during COVID, and we were really blessed. We've been continuously blessed. We didn't have the big wedding that we wanted to have, so we had a little bit of money, and we got this house and started renovating it. And the housing market's crazy in McKinney,
Yeah.
and we did really well on the house.
Mm-hmm.
And it came, I don't know, I was, by this time I was early in sobriety, already trying to find the next house.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is who I am. Like, I'm always on to the next project, very much a project type person.
Yeah.
House didn't come, and my wife said, fuck no, we're not getting the house. And then I said, well, let's open a sober living.
Mm-hmm.
Let's try to help people.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck no.
Mm-hmm.
So let's definitely open a sober living. It's about how
How you read it?
Yeah, how I read it. Yes, that sounds great. When can we start?
Yeah.
Yes, please, as she would say. So a few months go by, and at that time it was like, why don't we not do anything for a year?
Mm-hmm.
And it was in October or November. And so a year hits,
Mm-hmm.
and the house 2 doors down goes up for sale.
Mm. Okay.
And I said, let's do this. Can we do this together? And by this time she said, okay,
Mm-hmm.
let's do it. And it was, it's been a really amazing
Mm-hmm.
thing that I'd had no idea. All the things that my mind tells me are going to happen, very few
Yeah.
of them they actually happen.
Right.
And this amazing thing that's its own thing has come
Right.
to be. So we opened it up, 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, 5 guys and a house manager.
Mm-hmm.
I was really lucky to find a really amazing house manager,
Okay.
guy that I got sober with. And we just opened the doors.
Yeah.
We weren't doing anything any different than any other sober livings.
Right.
Since then, we've really added to what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And what I really wanted to recreate was my experience at Nashotah House.
Okay.
At the seminary, in that eating together, praying together, working together,
Mm-hmm.
living together in community can be its own special thing. It doesn't
Right.
have to be a house where people just come flop down and
Well,
and
I mean,
hang
I
out.
noticed that, like, in rehab, it's just, I mean, you can do your own thing and you have your freedoms
Yeah.
and whatever, but I noticed that community aspect of it was really, paramount
Yeah.
in my recovery, at least.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we do the house meeting once a week. We're adding a couple of individual sessions with myself and the house manager. So myself and my house manager are very involved and present all the time. A lot of what we do is based around the completion of a fifth step. You don't get, overnight passes are awarded at the completion of a fifth step. Curfews extended at the completion of a fifth step. So we are so intense and yet open about what we do and how we do. When you come in, you got 5 days to get a sponsor. You got 8 days to have met with them for the first time. You got 90 days to complete the steps. Everything is kind of individualized, but when you hit 90 days and you haven't even begun your fourth step, it's kind of evident, And our policy, I'm trying to do this in such a way with my house manager. I really try to keep Joe and what Joe wants to control at least
at bay,
and in collaboration with my wife and with Braxton, our house manager. And where was I at?
Well, you try to keep yourself at bay and out of being a dictator.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And like this is a place where you can be free and not have somebody with their thumb on you at the same time. Like all of the issues that you might associate with a sober living house, they make themselves known if the environment and the ethos of the place is grounded in honesty.
Yes.
And immediately when someone's being dishonest or when things are starting to go awry. And as long as the communication is good and healthy in the house, we can help.
Right.
Sure.
But we can't help if in italics, we're eager to help you if you want to be helped.
Right.
Sure. Well, now, and this is just strictly for men.
That's
right now.
Yeah, right
correct?
now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and actually, 12 hours ago, we opened our second house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Yeah,
And
congratulations.
Thank you. It was it's an awesome deal.
Yeah.
And my best time of the week is our house meeting when we can all come together, and it's not an AA meeting. It's not anything very structured.
Right.
But it's really this opportunity for everybody to get out of themselves and really kind of let loose with. I haven't had anything to do with it other than I've just wanted to create the space to support people and for them to support each other.
Right.
I would have liked to have had something for myself, at some point whenever I was sitting up in that closet upstairs.
Right.
I didn't really even know about sober livings then, but
right. Well, I mean, I think personally, that sober living is kind of like having that built-in community.
Yeah.
Whereas you're supposed to get that with AA, but then outside of AA, you might not have anything.
Right.
Whereas if you're at sober living, then you have that there, and people that are in recovery know when other people are fucking up.
Yeah.
The accountability that you experience at really good rehabs, they do that too. And the whole idea of accountability is you help bring it to other people, and the things that you're talking about to other people are behaviors that you see in yourself. And it's disguised as and people think you're snitching or blah blah blah. Nah, dude. I'm the only motive I have behind it is I want to help you,
Right.
and then that in turn helps me start being able to bring it to myself.
Yeah.
And it's like a safety net until they can start going on their own. And then the things if you get people that actually want to change, the show starts running itself.
Yeah.
They just need it's like poking and prodding cattle, man.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
That's exactly how it is. And it's been such a cool experience for me because I've learned how to talk to people in a way that I never was used to talking to people before.
Right.
And a lot of it sounds like, why don't you consider shutting the fuck up?
Yeah.
I needed my sponsor to say to me, why don't you leave her the fuck alone?
Yeah.
And why don't you do what is right in front of you? And I've recently gone to a nonprofit I started a job with a local nonprofit, which I have since left.
Okay.
Because I can't say those things. I can't do or say those things that
Yeah.
really
It's the
That
honesty
work
and the
need to be said.
transparency. I mean, because even when you're living together, not only the accountability, but you're also learning to have like real relationship with other people.
Absolutely.
You know, and not manipulating, or, you know, if I see you manipulating or vice versa, you're going to call me out on it.
Right.
And especially when we're in recovery, we need to relearn, or even just learn, period, how to have honest relationship with another person, because we haven't had a relationship with ourselves. We've been lying to ourselves and everybody else. And now, how do I do that part, you know?
Yeah. I was the last person who could be honest with me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know what y'all are talking about. I don't have any problems with being honest with
I'll tell you
myself.
about yourself later.
But so, okay, so you just opened up the second house, and then, how many beds do you have total?
15.
15, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
15.
And then, would you say it's 12-step based recovery?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would. I started to pursue the RSPS certification. I called a friend and I said, listen, I've got people who want to do Dharma recovery and smart recovery. I don't know how to support these people.
Right.
Because I don't know that.
Yeah.
And I was really opposed to it.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, well, do you consider yourself to have an open mind? Well, sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You should do the RSPS certification and get acquainted with how to support people in recovery, which is a great thing. So I started to pursue that. Haven't done the coursework yet. I was on my way to do that before I decided to not. But anyways, we want to support everybody in all types of recovery.
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, that's the thing. Like, I mean, that's what the show's all about. Like, I mean, it's about multiple pathways. So if recovery Dharma is your vibe, then cool.
Yeah.
And, if 12 steps, if you want to take whatever you can from the 12 steps and use that to your advantage, then that's your prerogative, you know? I mean, go ahead.
I have this little bit of bias. Like, I've always been a spiritual person. So my experience with spirituality and then this new relationship with God that the 12 steps absolutely gave me, I want to bottle that up and dump it down everybody's throat.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's hard to do.
Right.
As somebody wise said to me, they'll piss it away sometimes.
Yeah.
Somebody wise? Did you just point at me?
I did.
Got motherfuckers on here quoting me, dude.
You should have. It should be Chad and then wise guy. Because like you're wise, but you're also funny. You know, like all the things.
We should like AI you as Buddha
Yeah.
with your bald head.
There we go.
But
That's wild. That's wild.
I've stopped. One of the great things about the 12 steps and recovery for me has been this realization of what it means to not manage my life.
Okay.
And what that, that's not paying the mortgage, paying the electric bill. Those are things that we all have to do. But instead, I don't worry about I have to do ABC so that I can XYZ.
Yeah.
It turns out if I just kind of sit with God and bring God in on every deal, that the answer has always come.
Right.
Right.
And it's so in supporting other people in recovery, I have to ask with every person that comes to Stepping Stones, what am I being asked to do in terms of how I might be a part of God's plan for this person or God's will.
Right.
And it's usually help them.
Right.
Yeah.
Or don't help them until they're ready.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's really hard because I want to help everybody.
Right.
But I have learned very quickly that not everybody is ready to be helped.
That's true.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. And I mean, some people are turned off by the 12 steps and stuff like that and the whole, the God portion of recovery, but it's a tough road to navigate when you're trying to, have people do the 12 steps because the whole God factor is such a big part of it.
Yeah. And, I get a lot of people who've asked, well, you've done all this early in sobriety, and that may be true. But what it's showing me is, I really latched on to nothing proves so beneficial as intensive work with other alcoholics.
Yeah.
It's from the book. And I've had people come to me and say, oh, that's not AA work. Well, I'm not really interested in arguing what you consider AA work.
Right.
But I do recognize that, the world we live in today is not the world that the book was written in.
Correct.
And the book is a living document.
Yeah.
And it can be applied to how the world operates today. and it's absolutely true. What has happened in my own recovery as a result of working with the community at Stepping Stones has been nothing short of miraculous. I, for the first time, have a sense of inner peace and harmony that I've never had, and a real sense of purpose and usefulness, and that is a gift that I can't describe.
Right.
And we've had some amazing things happen already since we've been open in January. You know, people have getting driver's licenses, getting and holding jobs, getting promotions, getting their kids back, getting their first car, and getting to see their son now picking their kid up in the lane at school. You know, he gets his driver's license, gets promoted to manager, gets his car, puts a sizable down payment on it, and then 2 weeks later he's got his son's hang tag in his windshield,
Right.
and I'm just like,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
makes
Right.
all of the headache and all of the fear, because I deal with fear. I make a lot of decisions based out of fear.
Right.
So I'm not an expert in any of this. All I know is that I've been asked to do this in some capacity, and I'm just willing to go on the journey.
Right.
Well, and you've been there before. I mean, you're in recovery yourself.
Yeah.
And so that is an expert in a way. You know, you have to look at it
That
like
does
that.
make you qualified.
Right.
Qualified uniquely.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
We always talk about that. So.
Yeah.
And so one of the things I have been guilty of recently is maybe veering away from getting too busy. And I've heard recently in our recovery community here in DFW about, you know, guys who happen to be in the same vocation I am in terms of sober living who have had some pretty bad experiences lately. And I don't want that to happen. So as I examine myself and as in my meditation and my thoughts with God, it's like, how do I not do that? And the answer is, don't step away from the thing that got you this. And I've had a couple of people tell me that, and I've really taken it to heart. Because I'm one who will overload myself
Yeah.
with all of these things and really realize that, the only thing I'm being asked to do is to, you know, at this point in my life, be a good musician and operate Stepping Stones to the best of my ability. And I like to pile all this other shit on it.
Yeah.
And so I'm in the process now of, as
Decluttering.
I said, decluttering
Right.
and getting
But
back
okay,
to...
so you say you've said musician several times. What do you play?
So
I don't know.
I trained as an organist,
Okay.
and I've always, like I said, I've worked in the church, but I studied classical music.
Okay.
Yeah, so, you know, shit that nobody listens to today.
Right.
Dude, I listen to film scores and classical music every now and then, bro.
Excellent.
Bro.
You
Yeah.
are,
I fucking live on classic music, dude.
yeah. So, you know, we went to a Dallas Symphony concert yesterday, my wife and I and a couple of folks in the program, and it's been cool to share classical music with other people.
Yeah.
They're like, I had no idea sitting in this magnificent concert hall and
Right.
hearing this music. I had no idea how moving. It's
Right.
The power of all of that music and all the little pieces and the parts that they play
Yeah.
and the way that the hall is designed
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
seats that you're in and like the way that music can convey emotion in person. Like once you see that one time, then when you listen to it afterward, if you were really there and you were really present during that event,
Yep.
and you listen to it afterward, you get the same
I
feeling.
swear they did mushrooms the whole time.
No, it's
4
like,
grams.
Right.
it's so crazy, like, because that the way that music, the power of music, and especially when you have 30, 40 musicians all playing their one part, and they're so dedicated to that one part.
Yeah.
Nobody's showing off. It's not an ego competition.
Yep.
Right.
You know what I mean? You're that chair for that reason, and they're all a part of it, and it creates this atmosphere and the power and the energy behind that, with those moments, and then the fact that they can capture that, it doesn't translate as well to headphones or to a stereo system, but when you see it live, dude, there is absolutely nothing as powerful as that, in my opinion.
I can remember being like 4 or 5, and my mother had a CD player and a tape player, and I just loved classical music. I'd put classical music on, and I would stand in front of the stereo receiver with a wooden spoon and conduct.
Wow, that's
And
cool.
I wanted to be the guy. I've always wanted to be the guy in the front.
The
And
conductor.
had I finished music school and pursued that fully, That's what I wanted to be. That's my
Well,
dream
you
job.
never know, man. It might still happen.
Who knows?
You never
I
know.
have this nagging thing in the back of my head.
Right.
But, so if that goes on, that kind of gives you an idea of my personality. Like, such massive amounts of power come from this one person to create those moments that you're talking about, flowing through that one person, that musical complete picture. I love that. And one of the cool things I don't know what our time's like.
No, we got a few minutes. Go ahead.
I just some amazing things have happened in 2 years. The same. I've still got this nagging vocation, like to the ministry, and so that church that I left and went away from and never came back to, I now am a member of and the music director at, and my wife drugged me there and said, we really need to go to church here. She's a chaplain, and she needs to be affiliated with a particular denomination to work as a chaplain. Okay, fine, I'll go for however long it takes to get your piece of paper signed.
Yeah.
Right. And I can remember sitting in church and just being so full of judgment and anger. And I remember being there one Sunday, and I looked up front, and I thought, this was around the time I was working Step 10. Step 10, when these feelings crop up, we immediately ask God to remove them and direct our attention to someone we can help. I said, God, I need you to remove all this judgment and anger from me.
Yeah.
And help me help my wife. Because that's what my sponsor and I were working on at the time, is how are you going to just help your wife?
Right.
How can you help? And the next Sunday, it was gone. It was just gone. And then about, I don't know, a month or two after that, I got a call that I was going to be asked to be the interim music director, and that's turned into, which I did not want to do. I said no. But then by the end of the same lunch, I said yes.
Yeah.
Needed plenty of time to think about it.
Right. Well, it kind of sounds like that's where your heart is. A lot of it is in music.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. And the coolest part, has been the same seminary that, I always had in the back of my mind, how can I finish this this theological training that I want to finish? And a couple people said, well, you need to, have some long-term sobriety under belt. Everybody gave me whatever answer they thought I should have. So I finally just sent the email to the same guy who kicked me out. And I said, I'm thinking of applying to a couple of other places to finish. Would you
Write me a letter.
Would you write me a letter?
Right.
And he came back and he said, not only will I write you a letter, but I would hope you'd apply to come back.
Oh,
Wow,
cool.
that's-
Wow, that's cool.
Yes.
That's awesome, dude. But if I thought, here's how my brain works, right? I would have been like, not only will I write you a letter, I'll plagiarize it, dude.
There we go.
Sorry, that was worth saying. I'm
No,
sorry.
that was
Yeah.
good.
That's
That was
very
good.
good. But yeah, so this recovery journey, man, has been nothing short of miraculous.
Yeah.
It's just been awesome, and I've latched on and just trying to do the deal.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's
yeah.
what's up.
Well, okay, so that again, what was that website address? That you were-
www.steppingstonesnt.com.
Okay.
That was perfect audible.
And
Perfect. See,
Yes.
maybe I should
should.
consider that.
www.
Yes.
The website is the www.steppingstonesint.com.
The what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I appreciate you coming out, dude, and I wish you luck with your venture. I mean, because it's a big thing,
Thanks,
taking
man.
on,
Thank you.
navigating sobriety, and then taking on, being a cheerleader and a safe space for everybody else to hopefully navigate their sobriety eventually.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The cool part about it, though, is like the more you help other people, the more you learn about yourself. And
Yeah.
like you get used to helping other people, then you can start being able to help yourself
Yeah.
Yeah.
because other people help you too. So like the further the journey goes, and it'll go as far as you want to put into it. You know what I mean? And it's already sounds fantastic. So
Yeah.
and you're just in the beginning, dude.
Yeah.
And and then I always like to give the guest a chance to shout out. And this is where you would shout out your wife.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I should. I tend to put her last sometimes, but she should really be first.
Right.
Absolutely, in all things. She's the most wonderful supportive and encouraging. She has encouraged me and supported me from all this time.
That's perfect, Chad.
Perfect.
Yes.
She's a gift and a blessing.
Right. Okay.
And I want to shout out my house manager, Braxton.
Okay.
This couldn't be possible without him.
Cool.
Too.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming on. So
Yeah.
be sure and check out Stepping Stone Sober Living in McKinney. And who knows, they might be everywhere else some point. Maybe you're going to have a chain.
If you want it.
Yeah? All right. Well, there we go.
That's right.
All right, dude. Well, hey, Chadwick, I appreciate you always. We wouldn't be able to have such a beautiful show if it wasn't for you, buddy.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. It makes me
That's,
feel
that's,
special.
that's the second nicest thing anybody's ever said.
All right.
First was when I told him he was wise.
First one when he
Yeah.
told me he was wise. I had two of the nicest things anybody ever
I
said in my
told
entire
you
life
that.
today.
Wise guy.
And then, of course,
Chad's eyeing me. Like,
is he?
Death stare, guys. It's terrifying. Just
I put the
kidding.
camera on you so it didn't see me do it to you.
Thank you. I was like, what's going on?
But anyways, I forgot who do we have?
Am I
coming up
colorblind?
No,
Do
I'm
you
trying
look-
to think.
What do you
who-
think? I look colorblind or something?
Did you like that, dude? That was your favorite.
I
Huh?
was.
That's fantastic,
Do I look colorblind?
What do I look colorblind or something?
A little bit.
Love it. Well, anyway, Soraya Nicole,
Yes.
thank you as always. We will have you out again
Yes.
as soon as the universe calls and makes it happen.
For sure.
Yeah. Oh, but you're actually working also at with the old people at Phoenix.
The Phoenix.
The Phoenix, right.
ThePhoenix.org. Yes.
Yeah. Why don't you give them a little plug real
Oh.
quick?
I love the Phoenix. Have you heard of the Phoenix?
Is this the same as the
Not
app?
the Phoenix.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
So we do free sober things in the community, and so we've got in the DFW, but we've also got mid cities, and then I mean really it's volunteer led. So anybody like McKinney, if there's somebody in McKinney that wants to start up something, they can start something up.
I have the app.
Yeah, you got the app.
I've got
There we
Okay,
go, dude.
sweet.
got
Yeah,
that.
but the Phoenix is a great community support, and just as like with sober living, it's you need to be around other people who just get you,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And I feel safe and supported there all the time. We don't even have to talk about recovery. We just hang out and do sober free
Right.
things.
Just hang
you
out
know?
and be sober together.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, everybody. I appreciate y'all coming in. Appreciate your time. And be sure and tune in next week. I'm sure we'll have somebody fun on. And remember, kids, there is no magic pill for sobriety because if there was, we would all take too many.
Drop the bomb.